What's going on, you guys? I hope you're all safe and sound. As you guys know, I'm currently reviewing a lot of stuff that I've always meant to cover on this channel, never had the time to do, and I kicked this off with Sons of Anarchy. I'm currently rewatching a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies that I've always wanted to review on this channel, and yes, these videos will eventually come. But since I reviewed the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, I figured let's just review them all, except for the fifth one, since I already reviewed that one when it came out. I already had this channel. So now let's talk about Dead Man's Chest. Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest is the sequel to Pirates of the Caribbean The Curse of the Black Pearl. And when this movie was announced, I was hyped. I think a lot of people were hyped because the first one literally blew everyone away. It was the return of pirate adventures for the big screen, and I loved every second of this film. So I was hyped for the second one. And did it deliver? I believe it did, but it does have some give and take. First, let's discuss the plot a little bit. The film takes place sometime after the first Pirates film and introduces a new villain who goes by the name of Davy Jones. That would be the captain of the Flying Dutchman. Jack Sparrow still owes him a debt. So now we have a very weird and convoluted adventure starring Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp himself, Will Turner, Elizabeth Swann, and a lot of new and old characters. So let's talk about what I liked first. First up, Gore Verbinski returned to direct this film, and I believe he's a meticulously great visual director. His movies always look spectacular, and this movie is no exception. The camera work, the scenery, the set designs, the costume, and even the CGI still holds up. I was taken aback at how great this movie looks. It draws you into its own world right out the gate, right from the get-go. And I was actually shocked at how dark this movie got from time to time. I mean, there's a scene where we see a crow removing the eye from the socket of a prisoner. I was like, oh yeah, right, Gore Verbinski is actually a horror director, and some of these horror vibes are part of this film. That is me praising the film, because this movie has a lot of balls to show that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, this movie has a lot of conflicting atmospheres. We go from a joke and a super funny, kid-pleasing slapstick number to a super dark and graphic scene like that, and I'm like, I don't know if this always fits. But once again, we have a spectacular introduction to Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah, when he shoots himself out of the coffin. That is probably my second favorite introduction to Jack Sparrow. And once again, Johnny Depp is spectacular in the movie. What I love about him in part 2 is the fact that he hasn't learned a lot from the first one. He's still a pirate, he still swindles people, and he's not a hero. He's willing to sacrifice Will Turner because he just wants to save his own skin. He's kind of an asshole. I'm not saying he's the main villain. I'm not saying he's a villain at all or evil. But he is kind of an asshole. He's a pirate, and he's supposed to be a pirate, so I love the characterization of Captain Jack Sparrow. He does, however, have one or two heroic moments, one in particular near the end, but we'll get to that. I was also shocked that they brought Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann back for this one, because I thought that their story wrapped up nicely in the first one. And this time around we see, oh, they didn't actually got their happy ending after all, because their happily ever after is interrupted by a new villain who goes by the name of Cutler Beckett. Yeah, he's the new sheriff in town. He is coming after Jack Sparrow with a vengeance. Turns out he wants his compass. And that is one of my issues with the film. This film retcons a lot of stuff from the first film. In the first film, we learned that Captain Jack Sparrow's compass doesn't point north. In this movie, we learn that it points to the thing that your heart desires most. I'm like, oh, that's some very new and odd information that was never part of the first film. It's sort of like bringing Palpatine back after never mentioning him in 2 episodes prior to episode 9. Yeah, I went there. Also, they bring back Will Turner's father. And remember how they told us how much these two look alike? Yeah, they don't look alike at all. And I'm not talking about the fish makeup. I'm talking about the fact that these actors don't look alike whatsoever. However, Stellan Skarsgård is amazing as Will Turner, and he looks great. The makeup on this dude is terrific. So they gave Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann their own perspective arcs once again. They also brought back James Norrington, and I loved what they did with him because he actually takes part in two of the greatest sequences of the entire film. There is this epic bar fight that is perfectly choreographed, and then we have the greatest action sequence, in my humble opinion, out of all of these films. It's when Jack, Will, and James Norrington all battle one another in this amazing sword fight that takes place in a cartwheel, on top of a bell tower. It's so much fun. That is hands down the coolest action sequence in my humble opinion. And now let's talk about Davy Jones, because this guy is not only an amazing villain with an amazing motivation, because he's also cursed, but he's not Barbossa all over again. He's a very tragic villain. He's accepted his fate, but you see that there's so much more to him. There's a scene where he sort of plays a tune, a musical tune, but we see tears flowing down his tentacles, and these tentacles look amazing. By the way, the CGI on him still holds up. It looks amazing. It looks like practical. Very often it looks like practical effects, but no, it's all CG, and Bill Nighy nailed the voice work in this film once again. Beautiful. Also, I love the idea of having a big kraken. That right there is amazing. But I wasn't a fan of bringing back those two sidekick characters that we've had in the last film, those pirates, Barbossa's former crewmates. I was like, they brought them back for comedy relief. Very often it doesn't work. And another thing that I really did not like about this film is everything that takes place on the island where Jack Sparrow is captured by these indigenous people, tribes people. I'm like, this is only stupid slapstick. And they draw the sequence out big time. I'm like, this is still happening. This is still happening. I always tend to fast forward because it really annoys the living shit out of me. But all in all, I gotta say, this movie surprised me. I surprisingly enjoyed myself watching this film. What they did to most of these characters is actually amazing, and character progression 101, in particular James Norrington. I thought he was fine in the first one. To see him as this bitter, broken, former heroic person who went after pirates, and now him becoming this backstabbing asshole who's super bitter, is amazing, and the actor nails it. And we gotta talk about the cliffhanger, because this movie actually leaves you on a cliffhanger. The Kraken actually grabs Jack Sparrow and, yeah, drowns him. Well, it looks like he drowns him. He just tears him down into Davy Jones' locker, and this is where we end our film. Well, almost. We bring back Barbossa first. Yeah, Barbossa is back because there's this mysterious lady that goes by the name of Tia Dalma, and she gives our heroes a chance to bring back Jack. But in order to do that, they need a captain who already knows the way to the underworld, to the world of the dead. And that is Barbossa. So he's back. And I was like, this is amazing, because he's one of my favorite characters. He was amazing in the first one, and I love his arc throughout all of these movies. So that right there was amazing. But yeah, this movie has a lot of Star Wars references. It is basically the Empire Strikes Back of the Pirates movies plot-wise. I say plot-wise because I don't think that it's better than the first. I think the first one is still way better. But for example, we have a love triangle. Elizabeth Swann starts to develop feelings for Jack Sparrow, the handsome rogue. The handsome rogue's fate is left on a cliffhanger, similar to Han Solo, who was frozen in carbonite. We also have a lot of side plots and different motivations. And by the way, that whole bit on the island, it's not as bad as Canto Bight, but I'd compare it to pod racing. Like, I never saw the appeal, and it goes on for way too long. But I don't know, some people like it. I was just never a fan of it. But all in all, this is a beautiful looking movie, well shot film, incorporated CGI and practical effects perfectly. It moved the story forward, and Gore Verbinski just has a wild imagination, because the ideas that unfold in this film are amazing. And just as an adventure fan and a fantasy fan, I was genuinely satisfied by the movie, even though it does have some give and take, even though it is over convoluted, because the first one was really locked down. There was a straightforward plot. This time around, not so much. I will say that Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest gets a silver medal. It's, in my opinion, still a great film, a great addition, and a great companion piece to the first film. But it led to something very unique. Whether or not I like the third one, or what my thoughts on the fourth movie are, will be revealed very soon in other reviews. But now it's up to you. Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. Are you a fan? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Do you think it's okay? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.